mean, I don't know about you, but I'm a crier at movies. Like, I get so...
You want me to... I've been in martial arts for 15 years. You want me to admit in front of a studio full of people, and probably the thousands are going to hear this, that I might be a crier? I am a little bit.
Do you know that studies prove that those who actually emote and cry
with the strongest
are the strongest?
I cry a lot. I am strong. I am very strong.
Exactly.
From Sober Smash Studios, it's The Journey with drug and alcohol attorney Mark G. Astor.
Hello, everybody. This is Mark Astor. They call me the drug and alcohol attorney. And I'm super excited to be here in the Sober Smash Studios here at Treatment Partners of America. So big thanks to Scott Frankel and Jay and Deanna for having us here in the studios. Thanks, guys. It's good.
Thank you.
It's good to be here. I mean, we've really taken a step up. We're in a real studio, and
with a view, I might add.
I'm telling you, there's some view here, and so if any guests get unruly, I think we've got a lake to throw them into.
That is awesome.
And this is going to be so much better than sitting in my office and just doing my Facebook Live show. This is great.
Win-win.
And my first guest here is going to be is Doug McGurk. And I got to tell you, Doug, next time I come here, I'm wearing one of these shirts because I seen you and now Scott Jones wearing these great shirts. I feel a little conservative here.
And yet you got the cuffs going, so you're doing all right.
You like that?
Yeah, I'm a fan. I think these have cuffs too. If you look at it on there for the short sleeve.
All right. Well, I might have to. We might have to talk about this because I don't want to be outgunned here on the whole shirt thing. You know, us lawyers.
I got nothing.
You know, it's interesting because us lawyers, we have terrible egos, which is interesting that I have you here because you're a whole expert on the personal growth stuff, amongst other things. And we're going to talk about that.
About your ego?
Well,
are we going to do an intervention?
We can do that.
Okay.
We're going to do an intervention. We could actually do an intervention for a lawyer right here in the Sober Smash Studios. That'd be awesome, right?
Let's do it. I've yet to see a problem, though.
I wonder if we could influence the other 63,500 active lawyers here in Florida, just with our one show.
It's certainly possible.
I got to tell you, there's a lot. There's good vibe here with you, Doug. This is a new thing for me, and I feel very comfortable.
Good vibes are a new thing.
Both. This is good, right? So listen, I'm really happy that you came here, and I appreciate you coming down here.
Thank you.
And one of the first people I met in the treatment industry, and I know that you're not doing that now, but way back when,
that's right.
So I want to know what are you doing with yourself these days? Because I know you're not working in the treatment industry, but you're doing something, if not cooler, nearly as cool.
Well, the truth is that we're all addicted to something, aren't we? So I learned so much in the treatment world that the difference between someone who is trying to get their business from $10K a month to $20, $30, $40K a month, and the difference between someone choosing to lose themselves with drugs or alcohol or some other vice, it's kind of the same thing. Like it's an addiction to some story that we've been telling, some pattern that we've been running, some mindset of being, generally speaking, it's been my experience that our problem isn't drugs and alcohol. Our problem is playing the life of a victim. And the person who can't take their business to the next level, who can't take their relationship to the next level, who can't take their health to the next level, very often will run a pattern of some victimizing story about why they can't do it. And it's the same thing. So what I find is really I'm helping people break a pattern and addiction to the story they're telling themselves and others as to why they can't experience the life that they want to have.
Right. So, what's interesting. So, I think I've sort of talked about this, quite a bit, that I work for a company that really was a personal growth company working with lawyers, which is somewhat of a dichotomy, right? When personal growth lawyers. But for me, it really was. It was a catalyst for me to go open up my own shop. But, one of the main things that we talked about was this whole issue of mindset and whether it applies to business, weight loss, addiction. So, I mean, maybe just explain that to us, because the whole idea, when you say mindset, people are like, well, what does that mean? So maybe explain that to us, Doug.
The best way I could describe it is really your emotions, right? The emotional fuel that you're running whatever, like think of a car, right? Now, let me ask you something. Let's say money was not an object and you could have any car, gas-powered car, any car on the planet. What car would you get?
Porsche 911 GT2 RS. Not that I've given this any thought.
Okay.
But just because you asked.
All right. So let's imagine that you've got this car, the Porsche 911
GT2
RS. Okay. Now you're driving along and you need gas. You're running out, and you have a convenient station right here that only has 82 octane that's been sitting for 5 years. It's no name brand. It's like from Steve's bait and tackle, thrift store, and food truck, or drive a little bit out of the way to get the high peak performance 94 octane, super gas. Which fuel would you put in your Porsche?
Listen, I want the best gas, right? Or it's gonna, otherwise it ain't gonna work.
Right. So what would happen if you put that crap gas in?
Car probably gonna die in stall.
So that think of mindset as the fuel that you're using to power your supercar. And I believe that we're all sleeper cars. We don't all look like Porsches, right? But we all have like this incredible power within us. And when people act out of frustration, resentment, anger, fear, anxiety, all these like low energy states, it's as if you're putting this crap gas in a supercar and then they don't get the results. And then what happens is it negatively affects the rest of the vehicle. So then it starts to break down in other ways. And then people will say, the car sucks. Instead of going, well, yeah, but you didn't change the oil, you put the crap gas in, you let it you just took crap care of it. No wonder it's running like that. But you and I, we don't think in those terms. We think like, hey, I got up today, I'm functioning perfectly. And then we fuel ourselves with fear, anger, anxiety, frustration, bitterness, resentment, and then we function as if we put 84 octane in our supercar.
Okay, so let's talk hypotheticals. So a lot of this stuff can really be applied to business, and that sort of it's the stuff I sort of work on every day, right? Because if you don't do it, you sort of fall back in your old ways, right? It's kind of like working out. If you don't keep working out, you get out of shape. So here I am. I'm somebody who makes, say, $50,000 a year, but I'd really like to make $250,000 a year because I'm living the Boca lifestyle. I got 2.2 kids, a white picket fence, and a leased BMW. So how do I work on my mindset so I really believe I can make that $250,000 a year, and maybe more?
Well, you hit it right on the head. It's that belief. If you believe that you can, you will figure out a way to do it. If you have alignment with, and now I'll get a little esoteric into your spiritual highest calling, and you connecting it to something ethical, and no offense to attorneys here, but you
none taken.
When we have that ownership of possibility, we transmute it into probability through that belief. The challenge is that we still will fill ourselves with that crap fuel, and we're running a $50,000 a year mindset. We're filling it with that crap gas. So in answer to your question, how do we do that is a number of techniques. And first of all, it's starting to run a pattern in your mind. So again, we'll have some fun with playing with temporal, kind of experiences here. Let's imagine what's the worst movie you ever saw in your life? You don't have to say it out loud, but imagine the worst movie that makes you feel like absolute crap. Maybe it's a movie of you not making more than 50 grand. Maybe it's a movie of not succeeding, being, unhealthy and things falling apart for you. Okay. So every time you watch this movie, you feel like crap. Okay. You come home, nice day, and you've got an 80-inch screen. I guess, is that the biggest nowadays? What's the biggest screen?
I think it's getting there, right?
Okay, so 80-inch, 90, whatever. The biggest screen on the planet is in your house. You walk into the house, and the movie that feels like crap, the worst movie you ever saw, is playing. What do you do?
I think I turn it off.
You turn it off, but what do most people do? They sit there and go, look at this crappy movie, and they involve other people to look at their crap movie. They feel even worse instead of changing the channel, instead of writing a new movie that makes them feel more empowered, that makes them feel, because your brain doesn't know the difference. That's why we watch these movies and we feel something, right? We watch a great movie and it inspires us, or we watch a movie and it makes us feel like crap. Either way, our brain doesn't know the difference, whether it's happening or not. I don't know about you, but I'm a crier at movies. I get so...
You want me to... I've been in martial arts for 15 years. You want me to admit in front of a studio full of people, and probably the thousands are going to hear this, that I might be a crier? I am a little bit.
Do you know that studies prove that those who actually emote and cry
with the strongest
are the strongest?
I cry a lot. I am strong. I am very strong.
Exactly. So... The idea is that if we could start creating the opportunity, or we could create that movie in our mind and feel it, actually live, go, man, complete ownership of, man, I'm a $250 a month guy, or I'm a $250 a year guy, whatever it is, and own it as possible, as real, and feel the gratitude, feel the excitement, feel the passion. Then we start taking the actions congruent with that. But what most of us do, and that's the high test, but what most of us do is we go, oh, that's not going to work. And then we hang out with people who go, oh, man, I tried that once. right? How many times have you had this happen? When you were hanging your shingle, right? You probably met lawyers who maybe tried that once, and they're like, oh, I don't know, Mark. What you think? What you really want to do is get one of those other places, the Big Six or whatever, and you see if you can become a partner there. Be a partner over there. Well, you don't want to. I tried that, and I failed miserably. So what are they doing? They're playing their movie for you. They're enrolling you in that, and then you buy into that story, and you don't open your business, or you did what you did, which was create a vision of possibility transmuted into probability by taking action, by having a vision.
It really is all about taking action in whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I learned a couple of things when I hung my own shingle. First of all, if you don't take a lot of action, you won't be able to pay your rent.
Yep.
And I think maybe more than anything else, I learned to trust my own instincts for business, for personal. I don't always listen to that part of my instinct, but just
stupid humans.
But and also just being a practitioner, trusting myself. I just started to realize, that inner voice. Maybe I should listen to it.
Well, and isn't that this trick, right? Because that is the inner voice that's also shutting us down. So this is where, now I don't want to get too woo-woo-y or spiritual here, but there's a part of us that's like kind of right it's our mind, right? It's our brain kind of going, oh, I don't know, right? It's right next to your ears. And then there's this part in our heart, right? And there's a part that pulls us, and it's a little further away from our brain here. So we hear the fears, the inner voice kind of going, oh, I don't know about that. Yeah, one time, in band camp, right? But then you have that heart pull. And that is something that most of us get a little fearful for, because it starts getting into worth issues. And the only reason why we don't have those extraordinary successes, the only reason why if you did start your business, the only reason why you wouldn't have is because you didn't think you were worthy. And that's your heart. It's owning, it's just being okay with them. Freaking awesome. And I have some value to add. And thank God you did that, because had you not done that, you wouldn't be here right now sharing your incredible message and helping people the way you do.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the fact that we're even sitting here, if somebody said that to me 3 years ago, I'd be sitting here and I would have told them they were completely bananas. But, I realized we're all on a journey. Mm-hmm. And if you accept that fact, things start to come into your life, and it's really, really cool. So I want to know something, because you don't just wake up one day and say, I know, I'll just start, helping people with their issues, their personal growth issues. I mean, you have a really cool and interesting background. I know that you work for Tony Robbins. So talk to us a little bit about that, because that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah. So I'll even go way deeper and because when you say you didn't wake up one day, like you want to help.
And by the way, if people don't know Tony Robbins, they should go and see the movie Shallow Hal. Like, he's the big guy, like Shallow Hal.
Yeah, banana hands.
Was it Shallow Hal had a gal or something like that?
Yeah, Shallow Hal had a gal. That was the one. Yeah, very good.
So you can see, I didn't cry at that particular movie, but it did resonate with me.
There was a couple of moments. So here's what's interesting is on the journey. So I didn't wake up going, I want to help people, but I had a very powerful distinction. When I was like 3 years old, I was popping pills. I was popping baby aspirin. You guys remember Johnson's
like
baby aspirin? Yeah, they're like candy, right? So I would hide them around, and then one day I overdosed. I ate an entire package of cyanide. And I basically had to get my stomach pumped. And so they took me to the hospital. I was 3 years old or so, and my mom called my dad, and my mom said he ate a whole bottle of cyanide, and my dad heard cyanide. So he was freaking out. So after I got my stomach pumped, I woke up, and how do you think like my parents were feeling?
Panicked,
maybe a little angry. Like, what did you do kind of thing?
Now we have to rush you to the emergency room?
Yeah, and here I am. I'm waking up in the emergency room, and my parents are basically going, how could you do this to us? And at 3 years old, my little 3-year-old brain learned that I hurt people I love, and I don't even know how I do it. And that moved me. Like, from that day on, I became super, like, sort of conscious of how I was showing up, and like, I became a people pleaser. And I share this because that led me on a journey, because one thing I know about people who struggle with addiction is they're extraordinarily loving, heartfelt, incredible people. And that's how I related to it. And I would connect. I'm an empath. I would connect with people and feel their pain and so forth. So that's what led me onto this journey of understanding how to communicate, how to influence, how to not hurt people is really how it started. How do I not hurt people unintentionally? Because that wasn't obviously my intention. So through that journey, I got into music, and I had a really profound moment when I was my first like early career as a young musician. A girl had, I don't remember what disease she had contracted, but she was in the hospital and was like kind of on death's bed kind of thing. Like so much so she got married in the hospital because they thought she wasn't going to make it. And when she came out, she shared with me, she's like, I played this song of yours over and over and over again. And that's what got me through this experience. And she just was so grateful for it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could actually make a difference in people's lives. I don't have to worry about not hurting people. Now, how can I help people? How can I add value? Long story short, I worked in the music industry and I helped people make incredible music. Worked on multiple Grammy-winning records and really did some amazing stuff. Then I was part of the disruption of the industry via technology. So technology really disrupted taxis, right? Uber, Airbnb, all of that. Music 10 years ago or so was really hit hard because of technology. So I had to reinvent myself. I had to start over all again. And that's where I got Tony. I'd become so successful in music by applying Tony stuff.
So how long were you involved in the whole music thing? Because, it's interesting, and we sort of talked about this yesterday. Yeah. You have this little show that you do with your wife, Heidi, who I haven't yet met, but we've been on a couple of shows together. I'm looking forward to meeting her. But so in the background, there's like 5 or 6 guitars like hanging off the wall. Like most people decorate their house with art. You decorate your house with
classic guitars.
Classic guitars. So, I mean, I know that you work with some unbelievable people, right, in the music industry. So share with us some of those folks that you work with.
So the company I worked with, we were a production company, a publishing company, a record company, and all of that. So we were making records for Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, J-Lo. So we won Grammys with Celine and J-Lo and the soundtrack to the Chicago movie. And so we were working with big artists like that. And then I was primarily the rock guy. So I was the guy who was doing all the rock records. So that's where Dee Snider and I became tight. And I co-produced the second Widowmaker record. And, to this day, man, I tell people, I don't care what business you're in, I tell people today, you got to go watch, you recommended Chow Hal, We Are Twisted Effin' Sister, because that movie chronicles the beginning of their career from nothing to just getting signed. It doesn't talk about their big stuff, but how many times they were basically turned down, how many times they were shot down, how many times they came this close to getting a deal and then it falling apart, and how they kept going. Mindset, that is an amazing movie of unpacking mindset of someone who could have given it up so many times, but just kept going and going, like the Energizer Bunny, kept going and going and going. And that's our homework. We're gonna, next time we talk, we will have watched Twisted Sister so we can discuss it.
All right. Well, I got my colleague here, Audra, who's in the studio with us, and she's my better half.
Oh, right on. Okay, so you have Netflix then, yeah? Yes. Okay, so that's your homework.
That's our. You're in charge of homework, Audra. Okay. Just don't let me forget. You get to 51, you start forgetting shit. What can I tell you?
Oh, that's a nice story.
So I know you had this amazing career in the music industry. You're a super talented guy. I know you told me you can play a bunch of different instruments. So let's talk about the Tony Robbins thing, because that's, how long did you work for Tony?
About 4 years.
Okay, and what did you do for him?
I was what was called a senior peak performance strategist, which essentially it was a trainer, speaker. I would go into organizations, do a 45 to an hour long training, and then invite them, pretty much say, hey, if you like this, you'll love working with Tony. And I did that for 4 years, traveling around the country, and did that 3 to 5 times a day, every day for about 4 years.
Welcome to Treatment Partners of America, your partner in recovery. Treatment Partners of America is a unique, state-of-the-art substance abuse facility. Our trained professionals first focus on finding the core issues in trauma that lead to addiction, with some of the best doctors, nurses, and behavioral health techs the industry has to offer. We offer personalized one-on-one therapy 5 days a week, raising the bar to a higher level of standards. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, eating disorders, gambling, sex and love addiction, or even relationship addiction. Treatment Partners of McGuirk as specialists to treat and to help heal your addiction long-term rather than attempt a temporary 30-day quick fix.
So got my 10,000 hours in that. I'm also trained by Tony and the people who train Tony in neurolinguistic programming and neo-Ericksonian hypnosis, which is essentially Jeet Kune Do of psychology.
So is that like the whole Jedi mind trick?
A little bit.
You know,
A little bit.
it's well. I want to talk about the NLP because I've heard that you can. It's really a very cool thing, and
It's a language for what we're already doing. So it's the understanding on how we think, how we learn. It's really the study of the subjective human experience. It's understanding how we process information and then how to apply it. So what the guys who created NLP did was they would find the most successful therapists. It started out with therapists, and they found Milton Erickson and Virginia Satir and Fritz Perls and all these people who are doing incredible work, and then go, how did you do that? How come you're so good and then these other therapists aren't? And what's the difference? What are you doing that's different? And then they would learn, they would unpack it and then teach it. And that's how Tony actually got his start. He went to an NLP training, and like within the first couple of days, he's like, "Oh, this is great. Let's go out and make some money. Let's start helping people." And really, he became so famous because he was taking the NLP processes that he was learning primarily over phobias and helping people overcome phobias in like an hour that people were, therapists would take years and get nowhere in. And that was how that happened. So I applied that in my own life, in my production of music, and then that's why I was recruited to take it to treatment. And I basically brought that whole mindset of how to be successful, how to be successful in recovery. And I used the Jedi mind tricks.
all right. So can you maybe give us an example, like how I mean, I'm a lawyer, right? I'm in court. I got the judge in front of me, and I'm trying to argue my case.
So there's a lot of subtleties in it. So get into micro expressions and all of that. But one of the things, there's a lot you can do with language. So I've taught attorneys how to use language through sleight of mouth by really unpacking linguistic patterns and really getting a point across, changing belief systems. But one of the things that are just a really simple thing is understanding, like we have these three like how many senses do we have?
Was it 5, 6?
Well, 5 that we're aware of, right?
Right.
The 5 that we can measure.
I'm
We all
working
have
on
a
the 6th one.
sense. We have a sixth sense. But when we do, how does it happen? We either see visions, hear voices, have a gut feeling, right? Or we may, rarely do we smell our way through problems or go, there is a sound, there is a word for those experiences as extrasensory, but we all make we make pictures, we have conversations, or we have these feelings. And that's the way we process whatever's going on, whatever we focus on in that moment. And we all have different ones. So what happens is in communication as an attorney, very often you can figure out what modality people are living in, what they're processing in, and then meet them where they're at. Because very often communication is someone is saying things like they're making pictures, right? And then so they're sharing a vision of what's possible. And someone's going, man, that just doesn't feel right. I'm like, how can you feel right? It couldn't be more clear. Like, it's the biggest thing. It's so clear. And like, yeah, no, it's just not resonating. And what they're happening is they're processing a certain way. So you're able to meet somebody where they're at and lead them by then aligning with them. So if so as an attorney, if you're litigating or you're trying to get information, when you know where they are, if they're making pictures, you meet them with a picture and then lead them to where maybe you want to have them come from a different perspective. And it's sometimes as simple as that, because that'll interrupt the pattern. And it's so powerful.
All right. So if I want to go learn like how to NLP somebody, right? I mean, and maybe and I think the whole point that you're trying to make is it's not supposed to be used for sort of subversive use. The idea is just to be better at communicating.
Yeah.
And just,
Look, NLP is like money. It's just energy, right? It's harnessing energy. If you're a dick and you use money, you're just a bigger dick, right? If you use NLP.
Welcome to the legal profession.
Yeah, like that's really all it is. So the truth is that if you're an honest, ethical, moral, like spiritually grounded person, you're going to do the right thing. Some people don't, right? And I don't, the way I teach it in a way that it's always, there's an underlying of, it's got to be, ecological. It's got to be ethical. It's got to be moral and connected to your spiritual highest calling.
Okay, so how long does it take to get reasonably good at this stuff? Because obviously, if you don't,
I'm still working on it. So my trainings go 6 months minimum just to get the baseline, because some people can get NLP trainings and do it like online or do it on a in a like weekend class, and there are some people say, oh, I installed these on you, and there's an element of truth to that, but really mastery comes from doing the work. So the way I do it is we do some basics and then you work on it. You get some homework. You have to practice these small things and then build on it. And then so at the end of 6 months, you have a deep understanding because you've been applying it and building them on top of each other.
Okay. So you worked for Tony, I think you said 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how'd you go from Tony? Actually, how do you go from music to Tony to the treatment industry?
So when I was in the music industry, I had to reinvent myself. So when that whole crash happened, I was like, I got to start over, got to figure it out. And I'm like, man, I applied this stuff with Tony, and it really worked. And I was also having some challenges in my marriage, and I tried to use my NLP skills to learn how to communicate with myself and my now ex-wife even more effectively.
I was going to say, it doesn't seem like it would work on Heidi.
No, actually it did. But in a
she
different
doesn't
way.
know that.
No. Actually, funny story. So NLP is also, it's a mindset, right? So when you understand how people work, you have to try stuff, right? And Heidi had a negative, she's an master prac of NLP, but when we first met, she had similar negative associations to it. So one day when we first met, what I love about Heidi is she tells people what she wants. She told me what she wanted. And I don't even remember what it was, but it was something like, it was in communication, in something, this is what I want. So I was like, okay, this is new for me. So I had to try it. So I'm trying it. And then she's like, you're NLPing me. And I'm like, no, I'm not NLPing you. I'm trying something that I've never done before, or if I've done it, it's very new to me. So yeah, I'm NLPing you in that I'm trying to figure out, I'm modeling, I'm learning how to do this. So can you give me a sec? Could you let me, kind of master this before you attack me for not doing it right?
So she probably thought you were trying to NLP your way out of the NLP.
Well, no. Fortunately, she's like, oh man, wow, yeah, you're just actually trying something. And how could I expect you to master and be really good at something until you do it? And that her kind of feeling around NLP and me changed in that moment, because she's like, oh, okay, it's okay to not be perfect and try something new. And it's like when you ride a bicycle for the first time, you don't master it. You fall down and it looks terrible.
So meanwhile, now you're a happily married guy.
Amazingly blessed, yeah.
Okay, so the NLP works.
The NLP works now that it helps me keep me sane, because, I have to just master my own emotions and master the meanings I give experiences. That's why I have my program is called Strategic Emotional Mastery, because things happen all the time. And what happens is we tell a story, right? I'm sure you've had this happen. You meet somebody and they say something or a thing happens, and then your brain starts going, oh, that means that blah, 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 blah. And then
we attach a meaning to it based on our own previous experience. So like, that must mean so-and-so.
Right. And
they're thinking something totally different.
It's always almost something different. So that's where, just to survive life, I've learned how to master my emotions and be strategic about it by being aware, being conscious, so that when a thing happens, if I'm not feeling good and a thing happens, whether it's Heidi that says something, you that says something that happens anywhere, and I go, ooh, it doesn't feel right. Then I go, well, what else could it mean? Like, what meaning am I giving this to feel like this way? Why am I getting pissed, or why am I getting hurt, or why am I getting angry, or whatever it is? What meaning did I just give it? And then what do I need to believe about myself, about you, about the situation that's going to make me feel this way? And then what else could it mean? What meaning do I want to give it so that I can make this, like with people with addiction, it's such amazing. The people who are really successful in recovery, the meaning they give their experience, and the meaning they give recovery, and the meaning they give all of the things that have happened to them, it's completely different than the people who are constantly relapsing and chronically running those same patterns. The meaning they give it, you boil it all the way down. One person goes, oh my gosh, what an opportunity to learn how to help other people, how to add more value, how to learn more about myself. And they give this incredible meaning, whereas the other person goes, oh, I suck. Oh, it's because I was dropped on my head when I was a baby, or whatever it is. And they associate some non-resourceful negative meaning that makes them feel like crap, which is then why they want to use in the first place, because they feel like crap.
All right. So let me ask you a question. So I want to learn more about myself. I want to be a better human being. So how do I find out about your program?
So revolutionarygrowth.com is our website. You can find me on Facebook, Doug McGurk, D-U-G, McGurk, or Revolutionary Growth with Doug on Facebook. LinkedIn is Dr. Doug. Heidi is HeidiRain.com. You can also find her through Revolutionary Growth as one of the revolutionaries. And we're constantly doing trainings. We have an event coming up November 10th in Deerfield where we're just going to spend a day together and just really dive into being a person and how to kind of get present to what it is you want, where you want to go, and really dig deep into what we just talked about earlier about connecting your heart and your mind, aligning all of that ultimately to your spiritual highest calling.
Wow. Doug, I really appreciate you coming in here. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And so for the folks that didn't get all that down, they can reach out to me. They can find us online, drugandalcoholattorneys with an S.com. You can email me, mark@drugandalcoholattorneys.com, and you can even call us, 561-419-6095. And also, you should go to our Facebook page, the Drug and Alcohol Attorneys Facebook page, and like it so you can watch this show and more. And you should also go ahead and like Sober Smash on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play for more addiction-related content. So I'm Mark Astor. Thank you very much for joining us on our new show, The Journey, here at the Sober Smash Studios and Treatment Partners of America. And Doug, thanks, buddy.
Thank you,
Good
brother.
to see you.
Appreciate
Thank you for coming on.
Right on.